here. Welcome, everybody. It's so good to be with you guys. And this is going to be an exploration and conversation. And I'll share with you three leaps of awareness that I've discovered on my path that not only assisted me in attracting a lot of prosperity into my life, but also stabilizing that prosperity frequency as a part of my reality. And it continues to expand through expansion of the heart. So I also wanted to share with you a few subtle scarcity virus that can be unlocked in some of our choices, habits, and mindsets, and they're subtle because the more aware you are, the more you get to become even more aware to see for those belief systems or thought patterns that can sneak up on you if you're not aware. So, hello, beautiful beings. Good to see you. Good to see you. Heidi says, I am ready and open to receive prosperity in my life. And I will bring, the definition of prosperity that may be very familiar to you or may sound very new. And there is a big difference between wealth and prosperity. We're going to go into that. But I just wanted to introduce myself, literally take less than a minute for maybe new people who will watch this live stream and will say, who is this woman and why she's talking about prosperity? My name is Katerina Satori. I was born and raised in Soviet Russia, and it's been always my dream to leave Russia behind because of the limitation of the country and the bureaucracy and this feeling that your natural talent, your natural genius is really not, there is not a fertile environment for that to flower. And when I was growing up there, I really felt that my wings were constantly tied behind my back. And I did everything in my power to find an opportunity to go to a country that felt radically free. Comparing to Russia, you guys, America is radically free, So that was my dream when I came to this country 13 years ago. 13 years ago, I was 23. And I put everything on the line. I basically had one chance to go. And after I landed in Alaska, I had $3 left to start my life. So I come from a lot of struggle and a lot of scarcity mindset in my family, in the country that I was born. So this was a very kind of a personal odyssey, personal quest for me to find a way to unlock the prosperity codes, irrelevant from how humble your beginnings and how little you have. There is always this path, there is always, you can make the way. And especially in a country like United States or Europe or Australia or New Zealand, any Western country, you guys, we have more opportunities. But the more opportunities we have, the higher is our responsibility. Because the life conditions that you choose on the level of the soul that are specific, they're never random. They're always specific to create the right environment for the soul gifts to flower. And a lot of times, the more the humble are conditions, the more there is the fire under our tails to rise above the circumstances and to say, I may be the first one out of my family line to go to college, to start my own business, to believe in myself. This is my story, you guys, And no matter how many times some people laughed at my hopes and my dreams, how many people thought you will never make it, how many people thought, only use your looks to get through life, manipulate, take everything by force. That's also available. But we both know, you guys, right, that it creates huge karmic consequences, that every time we go against our soul, against our integrity, we create a lot of karma, not only for ourselves, but also for the collective to untangle, right? Every choice we make creates an imprint on the fabric of this universe. So what kind of soul prints are we leaving behind with every choice, with every thought, and with every feeling that we create? Hello, beautiful. That was my introduction. Hi, guys. So a little introduction, but this is, the reason why this topic, I will continue to speak on that, because there is such a freedom and such empowerment where you make a decision not to be defined by your circumstances, right? So the 3 courageous leaps, I brought some notes, darlings, just to stay on track. These live streams tend to be very timeless, I get out of the sense of time completely when I'm with you and we're having this exploration. So to unlock prosperity codes, there is these 3 leaps of awareness, in a way, courageous leaps of awareness. The very first one, prosperity is a state of mind. Second one, prosperity must be embodied, right? So first is mind, second is the body, and then the third, prosperity as a commitment to mastery. So very difficult to be an amateur and to continue to build prosperity in anything you choose, right, you guys? So those 3, if somebody wants to write it down, you guys, and we're gonna go deeper into them. So first, prosperity is a state of mind. Second, prosperity must be embodied. And third, prosperity is a commitment to mastery. So before I go deeper into each one of this, looking at your comments, I wanted to share with you guys first the scarcity patterns that can lurk around. And scarcity patterns, they're kind of like virus. And if your physical body gets a virus, entire immune system will go down, right? The same thing with our life. If we have unexamined scarcity thoughts, right? Scarcity belief systems, then it's going to infect every project that we decide to start, every partnership, business one or collaboration is just gonna make it through, and it's not gonna be sustainable. It's not gonna be even fulfilling, right? So I'm a big believer in eradicating any thought patterns that are not based in truth, right? That are just outlived thought patterns, outlived belief systems that maybe got transferred to you simply through your parents or through environment where you grew up, right? So the very first one, you guys, and I did that live stream in the car where so many people resonated, and I shared one principle about worry. Worry as an individual experience, and also worry is a collective shadow, when I say shadow, almost like a static noise, vibration of worry. And, worry is, in the quantum language, in the energy language, is an invitation. It's not even an invitation. Every time we worry, we insist the universe gives us more of what we worry about, right? The universe gives us more that we don't want. So worry is a number one. And it's not like you don't allow yourself to worry. You begin to work with the energy of worry in a very aware, conscious way, and to examine what's underneath that. I understand that it's a leap of consciousness. If somebody looks at this world, at this, existence, as from the perspective of I am alone individual trying to survive, they have all the reasons to worry. If we sit with ourselves, go within, look within, know ourselves, examine ourselves, on the search of deeper truth, and be able to raise our awareness like a hawk, fly above your life, and to see this world from a holistic perspective, to see this world as a beautiful organism, that everything is interconnected, then you and I have absolutely nothing to worry about. You know, we open our eyes to the bigger truth, to the bigger truth of the true nature of this reality. Everything is connected. You know, there is really no separate sense of self. And if you guys wanted to learn about this from scientific perspective, check out the documentary by incredible scientist Nassim Haramein that is called Connected Universe. I was presenting this film in my current program that is happening called The Sovereign Mind, because the more when you make that when you arrive to that place of absolute knowing about fundamental nature of this reality, something in you will click. You know, you begin to relax deeper into your life. You begin to become more and more accountable for your choices, for your thoughts, for your feelings, right? You begin to move through your life gently as a spirit. Erica is asking a good question. Okay, Erica, hold on this question and I will return to you. How does one fully let go of the thought form of worry? You know, worry, it's almost like, okay, I'll go into it right now. So when you find that thought form of worry, what are you worrying about, darling? Usually when that occurs, what are you worrying about? Let me know. Let me know. Because when, let's say there is a turbulence in my reality. When I'm on the plane, you guys, I love to travel to new places. I don't like traveling by plane. You know, it's not my favorite thing. It's okay, but it's not my favorite thing. Why? Because there's always a turbulence. You know, if you fly like 10 hours or 12 hours, there is a possibility of turbulence. So when I am caught in a turbulence, it's always unpleasant sensation for me, right? So I see it as a great practice to do my breath work, to still my mind, and to lean on a tool of a chant, some kind of chanting, something that stills my mind. Yeah. Well, Eric is asking, okay, thank you. Worrying about creating a client. Well, this leads to, thank you so much for asking that question. This leads to the third component of prosperity, of seeing your life as a quest to mastery. You know, if you are masterful in your skill, if you truly believe in your work and you know how powerful and effective it is, then the worry of creating a client reflects to me there is some kind of a skill missing, maybe technique missing of not knowing how to approach this question, right? But if you have the how, if you have the strategy, simply worrying will create this external event, right? So you say, okay, if I don't have the clarity about the process, then no amount of positive thinking will help. You know, I always think, you guys, it's time, you know, positive thinking, it's kind of we're outgrowing that. You know, it's basic. To think positive is basic. I invite all of us to begin to think creatively. Creative thinking is a prosperity thinking. Right, you guys? So creative thinking is prosperity thinking. So Erica, you would say, you know, in what other way I can create a magnetic invitation for the right person who is an ideal client that I would love to serve, right? And then you study different strategies and different approaches. There's a gazillion of them, right? I have a very simple strategies in my business, but you know, I had to learn pretty much most of them to pick which one aligns with me. So, darlings, the scarcity thought patterns. Where are they? Here they are. So the first one, how you can recognize the scarcity thought pattern, is this idea that time is running out. Let me know in the comments if you ever felt that. Time is running out. Like where's that thought is coming from, right? I believe, you guys, I imagine it's coming from collective unconscious, right? None of our fears or worries or insecurities original. They all have the same theme. You're not enough. Nobody is noticing me. Time is running out. I'm incapable. None of it is original, you know? So they arise from the collective unconscious field. And depending on your current state of frequency, you're either a match to that thought or not. Right? So a lot of times, you know, a lot of people will be run by those unconscious thought patterns, and they simply feel that feeling. You know, they either don't express those feelings, so those feelings begin to ferment in them, right? And that becomes as a way people see themselves. So whenever I catch a thought pattern that doesn't serve me, I begin to question it and examine it, right? So time is running out, always in a rush, you know, always from one activity to the next activity to the next activity, and it feeds time of running out. And off to a next goal. All these three, always in a rush, worrying about time running out, off to a next goal, or to put a fire out. I noticed this a lot in the past in my own life. And the reason I can speak to you about this, because I had to sit with those and say, do they serve me? Do they create prosperity in my life? Or do they dig me deeper into consciousness of lack? And what I find, you guys, that a lot of high achieving people, you know, for whom success comes easy, you know, they've been superstar students, they've been very ambitious, driven people. So many of you are that. I see you guys. I see who is joining. Those are the mental traps, you know, that you constantly chase the next goal. Well, that doesn't come from prosperity thinking. That comes from the scarcity thinking. You know, underneath that, maybe there's fear to be replaceable. Maybe there is fear of competition underneath that, you know? So I'm a big, big believer in examining what's underneath the rocks. You know, let me see, let me view that, let me look at those limited belief patterns and lovingly acknowledge them for hiding there and replacing them with something different and more creative, more prosperity affirming. All right, beloved. So that's the first, scarcity. Notice yourself next time you feel a deep anxiety rising in your belly, the seat of your soul, about time running out, and you are already 30, or you're already 35, you're already 40. Oh my God, you are 50, and you are not where you thought you would need to be by this time. Please tell me that you've had those thoughts. If you I did, you know what I mean? And you begin to examine it and you say, is it useful for me to carry that? Time is, you know, a collective agreement, right? Time is an agreement. Time is an illusion. It really doesn't exist. There is an experience that you can transcend above time and space. It's all about your awareness. So you begin to untangle that anxious knot about time running out, you will naturally begin to slow down is your life. And darlings, it's gonna change the energy you emit. You will become more present in your business meetings. You become more calm and more present in your client conversations, with your children if you are a parent, right? With your parents if you are, you know, whenever you talk with them. You will naturally begin to discover the joy of finding a new rhythm. A rhythm of prosperity is very different than a rhythm of wealth. You know, they're different. They're very, very different. Prosperity is the field. It's this field of awareness, field of consciousness that you choose to enter. And prosperity is all about not accumulating. It's not about accumulating. You can accumulate if you want, but you might notice that the more you accumulate, the more complex your life becomes. The more you accumulate, the more you get to manage. right? And it's up to every person to decide what you choose to accumulate, where you choose to grow your prosperity. But prosperity, darlings, what I've discovered is all about learning to thrive with what you have right now, savoring, slowing down, savoring every single experience, becoming, this is the words of the great teacher Yogananda. He says, I choose to become joy billionaire. Prosperity has this core frequency of joy. Joy right now, not when you land that dream client, not when you move to the dream house, not when you start driving your dream car, right? Accomplished all of this, you guys. Have all of this. But it doesn't define my ability to feel joy. If I let go all of this, and I will be asked by Great Spirit to live somewhere really, really simple, I'll be like, that's my next evolution, to embrace that, right? So it's really about savoring your life, rediscovering sensual relationship with your life. And that everybody can begin. Everybody can begin. And the more you slow down, the more you open up your creative mind, which is the true prosperity magician that everybody has, but not everybody has it active. And not everybody has it visible or, in service to others. How are you receiving this? Yeah, darling. So we so we said scarcity, the three little dragons, right? Always in the rush. And I'm still working on this one. I notice when I lose my awareness, where I begin to like run into a door or leave my wallet. Yesterday, came to a restaurant, left my wallet at home. Thank goodness I only live 5 minutes. But I don't look at those experiences as random events. I see that me leaving wallet in the house is a great signal that I lost my awareness, that I begin to rush more. Right, darling? So you begin to really pay attention to the fabric of reality, which is intelligent space. The air around you is not an air. It's filled with codes, with information, with light, with waves, with energy. And when you begin to interact with that space around you as a full of intelligence space, everything you require to realize for your next leap, the intelligent space will give you. You just get to listen. And how can we listen if we're always in a rush? If we think that time is running out, right? So the very first is slow down and say, what would be possible if I begin to relate to this intelligent space in a very sensual way? I saw Kylie, she says, creating sensual relationship with your life. That's right, beloved. You do this so well. You do it so elegantly. I loved what you share with the community about, really awakening your senses, because prosperity must be embodied, darlings. And, sometimes it's a nice concept, like prosperity must be embodied. But how do you start? Well, the very first step is to become unlocking the sensuality codes. When you eat a strawberry, I just came back from a farmer's market. I almost did a live stream, lessons of prosperity from a farmer's market. I got this beautiful orchid. One of my practices of establishing a sensual relationship with life is to look at a beautiful flower, which literally represents the face of the divine. Every flower is like a face of an angel. Angels are in charge of flowers, darlings. Angels also in charge of the plants. That's from metaphysical perspective. But you look at the flower, and you begin to enter the field of beauty, the field of sensuality. And the same thing, when you are learning directly from nature, you're learning a new rhythm, you're discovering a new rhythm to be. So first was prosperity as a mindset, right? Prosperity as a state of mind. The second was prosperity must be embodied. I give this very, very simple exercise to everybody who is willing to do it, pretty much. You know, my clients, my students, everybody who is willing to do it. I say, hey, don't wait until the pendulum of life swings, you know, to the side when you are in uncertainty, when you are in the great void of emptiness. That's usually when we are desperate to ask for great spirit, prosperity. Begin to invite your body to feel prosperous every single day. And the very first thing, you get to feel it. You get to feel it in your belly. So this is a very simple exercise, guys, where it doesn't matter what time of the day. It doesn't matter. Consistency is what matters. Start with 5 minutes a day, then start with 10 minutes. But you sit, you feel your body, right? And you say, how would it feel in my whole being if I knew with absolute certainty that all my needs, desires, everything that is required for my genius to truly shine in service to others, if I knew that all of that has already been supplied, how would it feel in my body? And you ask that question and you wait. Maybe you wait for the tingling in your foot, or maybe your belly will naturally begin to relax. Maybe your shoulders relax. Your body begins to respond, right? Your body begins to respond. Your body knows how to respond as long as you invite it to. So prosperity embodiment. I find in the past I would do this prosperity embodiment when the SHIT hit the fan, and then you have all the enthusiasm to sit and do this practice. But what if we do this practice and we condition the body in a way, we train the body, or we invite the body to begin to release this unconscious distrust in life. Scarcity there's the simplest way to describe scarcity is unconscious distrust in life. And it may be very much not even your fault, maybe the only thing you saw from your parents is unconscious distrust in life, right? And when we're little, we learn by modeling. So we adopt those attitudes, of fear, distrust in life, and deep sense of inner insecurity. And when we grow up and become achievers, we are driven, to collect all these external things that kind of supposed to quiet the deep sense of anxiety. Why don't we take a shortcut and start inviting our body to relax right now as we are, and entering into a new romance with our life, just as it is. Declaring your life prosperous, declaring yourself prosperous, choosing that, identity if you wish, if that helps you to grasp this, right? Choosing that identity about who is that person that I know with absolute certainty that all resources required for my life calling are already supplied, and I am on the way to them. Or I'm walking and remembering my future. This brings us to the third part, prosperity as a lifelong commitment to mastery. And what is mastery, darlings? What is mastery? I often say mastery recognizes mastery. If you're really masterful what you do, you're always going to be beyond the competition. And even idea of competition will never cross your mind. because you understand the true nature of this reality. One single consciousness, divine great spirit expressing itself through different forms. So who are you competing with? Once you reach that level of transcendence, right, transcendental view, who are you competing with? Yourself? So everything becomes to relax in your body. Everything becomes to relax in your mind. And you begin to stay committed to mastery. Mastery involves versatility. And if you'd like to go deeper in this topic, I invite you to read Gene Key 16 in the big book. You know, I'm a big Gene Key, Gene Key pilgrim. I love this transmission. There's this great book called The Gene Keys. You don't even need to know your profile. You don't need to learn the whole system, because some people really get overwhelmed by the whole system. And I say, don't get overwhelmed. Just get a book and read a specific key. And maybe a paragraph will completely change your life. But there is a Gene Key 16 that talks about the shadow of compromise, the gift of competence, and the city of mastery. You know, for me, mastery is what I am here to embody. And darlings, mastery involves versatility. You know, it's really becoming, if you are an artist, you don't only see yourself as an artist, you see yourself as an entrepreneur as well. You know, if somebody tells me from the past, you know, examples from the past, I see Leonardo da Vinci as an example of versatility, genius of versatility. You know, this is the person who developed himself in both in arts and science, both, you know, which is really, really, it was difficult to do at that time, to develop both your right brain genius and your left brain genius at the same time. We're living in a very powerful time in the world where it's never been easier to reach so many people with your message, with your voice, with your gifts. Even 10 years ago, you guys, when there was just the beginning of social media, just the beginning of internet, right? Maybe 15 years ago. How much has evolved in the last decade, and it's not going to stop. It's going to continue to evolve. So it's never been easier, and at the same time, it's becoming more and more difficult because of oversaturation, because of information becoming so easy to access. That's why I say mastery is beyond competition, always. So mastery is it's literally spreading your wings. And it comes with a choice, darlings, right? You come to a choice. You say, there's a great book by Steven Pressfield called The War of Art. I highly recommend this book to any creative. I read that book, and I will never forget the moment where I've made a choice, going from an amateur to a pro. And it's a leap of consciousness that you get to make. The War of Art, Steven Pressfield, the most important book that you will ever read. If you're on the path of creativity, service, you desire to be prosperous with your gifts, not just by manipulating somebody into working with you, or, you know, taking things by force. None of you would be drawn to this. I see the beautiful souls who are joining. But there are many people who do that route, you guys. It creates a lot of karmic consequences for many lifetimes. You know, everything in this universe is recorded. Every single thought, emotion, action, by the law of divine memory. Maybe you've heard about Akashic records. Right, darlings? It's a whole field, a collective, universal, galactic library. So it definitely makes sense to attract prosperity into your life through integrity, through contribution, through a simple joy of expressing your talent. So then the next thing, yes, thank you, Bruna, the Word of Art. I'm going to read it again. I've read it many, many times, guys. And every time you're like, whoa, and it's so simply written. It's written very simple. It's not a big book. Every paragraph, you will be like, whoa, so powerful. Right, darlings? So mastery involves versatility. And versatility, darlings, is the inner attitude. Is the inner attitude where you say, if I don't know how to do something, the next logical step you say, I'm going to learn to do it. You know, I'm going to learn to do it. So it's an attitude, right? It's an attitude, versatility. And it doesn't matter if your path is not going to be an entrepreneurial path, because ultimately, you guys, for the sake of simplicity, how do we get paid in life? Right? We either work for ourselves or we work for somebody else, right? Unless you live like on an island and you grow your own vegetables and you live in a conscious community. But let's just say for the simplicity speaking, it doesn't matter which camp you're at, whether you're an entrepreneur like me or you work for somebody and you actually love being a part of corporation, doesn't matter, organization, doesn't matter big or small. Then also the prosperity attitude. I just remembered to talk about this for a little bit. Prosperity attitude, you know, be masterful as a great employer. Be the employee that you would dream to hire. You know, because before I became an entrepreneur, I was an employer, right? In different arenas. And it was always my, you know, what helped me go from starting my life with $3 in my pocket was the ironclad will and this attitude. Oh my God, if you hire me, I'm going to be the most incredible employee, right? Being a part of the team, you know, being really, really doing my very best, constantly self-driven, constantly self-motivated. I'm going to become a superstar employee. That's an attitude, right? That's a prosperous attitude. That is impossible to ignore. That's a masterful attitude. That is impossible to ignore. And if you work for somebody smart, right? If your boss is very smart, they are going to notice you and offer you a bigger game to play within the culture of the organization that you work. 100%. And if you are an entrepreneur, it doesn't matter which stage you're at. The more you spread your wings and you say, if I, for example, I know that live streaming is really, really important for my business. And live streaming, you guys, the most effective way, live streaming beats email. Email marketers, anybody here? You know, if you guys know, very, very, very accomplished marketer, Frank Kern. I just watched his video. He's like, live streams beat email marketing. You guys, you gotta pay attention to this. You gotta pay attention to this. So to develop a talent of communicating your message with passion, enthusiasm, presence, to engagement, it takes time. So if you're not willing to lean into discomfort of being visible and giving your message a voice, right, and standing, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's awkward, you're only delaying your versatility. You're delaying that. And the same thing, you guys, hello, darlings. This is a deep dive live stream on a Saturday. I was like, is that a wrong timing to do a live stream? I'm just going to go anyway. You know, you guys, so prosperity is watching the trends, watching the future trends, watching the marketplace, watching where everything is evolving, staying true to your heart, savoring every part of your journey. Cultivating prosperity from within, right? You guys, embodiment practices. But also, it's almost like staying grounded, but being able to rise up like a hawk and to see further, you know? And once again, not allowing yourself to get into trap of competition, you know, it's just like below you, below me, below you, right? You say mastery recognizes mastery. I choose to become masterful and commit to what you choose to become masterful. And depending on your personality, maybe committing to one thing is really what's going to support you to go deep with something. And then you begin to add other skills, right? Naturally growing in versatility. The way I do things, like a very crazy Russian kamikaze style, I love growing several projects at the same time. That's what lights me up. If I have only one project, I get bored. So depending on your personality, give yourself ultimate permission to spread your wings. So it's time to stop thinking positive and start thinking creatively. Prosperity begins with creative mind. The more outrageous, wild idea that visits you, the more there is going to be courage required for you to rise up and to bring it to the world. But it's so beautiful when you offer something uniquely you to the world. It is so beautiful, it's so powerful. And eventually, you begin to emit this very attractive magnetic frequency. Your uniqueness, your naturalness, your joy, your enthusiasm, your devotion to your path. Kylie said, Kylie, this is my style. Kylie was asking me about my marketing strategies, so marketing plan, and I said it's a kamikaze style, always, my always intention is to shrink the gap between when idea comes and I have a full body yes, and then I go and I implement that idea without attachment, without insistence on any outcome. And I always cultivate that state that I already succeed simply by doing the thing, And no matter how many courses I've launched, you guys, quite a lot until this point. But every time it would be like, it doesn't matter what I bring to the world. And it doesn't matter if it's going to be 100 people, 25 people, or one person. I take a quantum evolutionary leap into my mastery, and that's the goal of it. Everything else is a beautiful byproduct. Everything else is a beautiful reward, cherry on the cake. And then it reflects in my attitude. It reflects in my energy style, right? So, darlings, I would like to leave the time for questions. If you have questions, let me know. Prosperity begins with creative mind, darlings. And you see how these steps all tied in. If we are in a rush, if we are driven by the fear that time is running out, we cannot be in a creative state of mind, right? We are in a busy, time is running out, I'm not good as everybody else kind of state of mind. What kind of creation will come through that? Pretty weak one, right? It's not gonna have the fire of your originality in it. That's why the more you slow down and you begin to savor your life. I shared this, darlings, with you. One of my earliest spiritual teacher, he told me, he says, Katerina, learn to love your life. You don't have to like everything in it. Learn to love it. And he made this very powerful distinction between liking something and loving it. When you truly love something or somebody, love is a state of absolute embrace. Like a blanket of love you put on somebody's shoulder. Maybe there is some part of you that is not going to like some part of your life, but you put a blanket of grace, a blanket of love on that part too. And nothing can resist the power of love. The resistance begins to soften. You begin to relax deeper. You begin to have this insight, the genuine insight, you begin to see your life clearly. And then creative mind begins to receive these genius ideas. Because think of your creative mind, darlings, your prosperity genie in the bottle. Your creative mind is like an antenna. These brilliant genius ideas, where they come from? We know where the limiting ideas come from, collective unconscious. But where the genius ideas come from? From a higher mental plane. And we get to attune ourselves like an antenna to be a match to the higher plane genius ideas, like a higher mental plane, right? So every time you slow down and you sit with yourself and you cultivate the feeling of prosperity in your body, irrelevant of what is showing up in your reality, it's so easy to feel prosperous where everything is good in your life. Well, we get to train when everything is good, that we know how to cultivate this very powerful state of inner world when everything goes through turbulence. So we train in the calm weather in a way, so we are ready to meet the thunder, to meet the storm. That's just what I find is useful, you know? When I'm on the flight, on the plane, and the turbulence hits like a real plane, and the turbulence hit, I am so glad I know some amazing mantras to calm the anxious mind. And I also know breath work to do, right? So then I can expand in a more peaceful experience of turbulence as an interesting sensation. The same applies to our life. You know, this is a beautiful earth school that we came here to develop ourselves in mastery, to evolve in mastery. That's why we're choosing planet Earth, right? With all its bumpy experiences and duality and chaos and beauty and, you know, and constant change. We're choosing this experience on the level of the soul because it is so rich in growth opportunities, right, darlings? It's so rich in contrast. So these are really timeless principles that if we begin to apply them, everything in our body begins to relax. It will begin to release those unconscious patterns of fear or worry about our future. And we know that future is simply a mental construct, right, darlings? It's simply a mental construct. Begin to realize, wow, everything is here. Just for experiment. You remember I did the live stream, maybe some of you have seen it. It's called Trust Experiment. Just for experiment, I invite you to see about this eternal now experiment. You know, just for a week, stop planning anything for tomorrow. Simply follow your natural creative impulse moment by moment and see what arises. What do you desire to express? What do you desire to share with somebody? Just for a week or maybe for 3 days. And every time your mind wants to run away in the future, you reel it back into the present moment. And you savor, slow down, and enter into deeper romance with the now moment. You will be surprised by how many incredible, brilliant ideas will begin to magnetize to your physical vehicle. Because you're not in the future that doesn't exist. When you're in the future, you are in your head, right? When you're in the past, you're in your head. How much power is there? Very little. When you're in the now, right now, and once again, right now, you begin to drop your belly, you begin to relax this anxiety, and you begin to say, well, what would I desire to experience next? like an innocent child, right, darlings? Why are children creativity so irresistible? Because they're so brave. They don't have the blinders of what is possible. They don't have their strict belief systems of what we're capable of. So to access that field of genius that is available in the present moment, only in the present moment, darlings. It doesn't exist anywhere else because nothing else exists but right now. So that's how you release worry, dear Erica, beloved Erica. Erica asked a really good question. How do you release the worry about creating a client? I remember those days, darlings. I remember those days. Number one, I didn't really have a business skill of creating a client. I was kind of winging it. My very first client found me. And this is the key principle that I teach. If it is your dharma to be a guide for others, when your training is complete, when you are ready fully, your student will appear, not a moment early. When the teacher is ready, the student appears, right? So that's happened for me. My very first client was CEO. And it was simple conversation without any agenda, without any tactics of getting him or reeling him into my webs. It was a simple conversation about wholehearted living, about living with an open heart. And we decided to stay in touch. And next morning, he calls me. He says, Katerina, I worked with some of the top coaches in the world. And something about our 2-hour conversation shifted me. How can I hire you? And this is how my first client arrived into my life. So you see, darlings, and then I started growing my business. And then it was the time to actually acquire some business skills. And that's also a part of a mastery, right? You equally develop your abilities, your craft, right? You equally develop your craft, your unique talent that usually takes about 7 years to develop, right? As with deep humility, I can reassure you that's true, and it doesn't mean that you're not going to be prosperous for 7 years. No, you get to become creative and find the ways to support yourself, find the ways to be of use, to be helpful, to be of service. There is infinite ways. If there is only desire, if there is enough drive, there is infinite ways to find yourself, to become resourceful, right, darlings? So while you are in the training and cultivation of your mastery, that's usually a talent, usually 7-year cycle, you immerse yourself in the right environments, in the prosperous environments. Be with people who operate on a prosperity frequency. It is so key, right, you guys? And having these expanding conversations, and more than anything, expanding your awareness. Every time you expand your awareness, you expand your heart, you tap into the frequency of expansion, right? I was doing a Gene Key consultation with a beautiful soul yesterday. Darlings, I don't promote the Gene Key readings that I do. Rarely I do them, but every time I do, it brings me a lot of joy. And we were doing this, we were going deeper into the Gene Key 53. If you really want to dive deep, once again, you don't need to know the system. So many people get overwhelmed by the system. I just say start baby step, get the book and read it as a sacred wisdom teachings. So there's a chapter 53, the shadow of immaturity, the gift of, the city of expansion. No, the gift of expansion and the city of superabundance. It is such a delicious chapter, darlings. But we were diving into that, and it was so beautiful because the shadow of immaturity, just imagine it's not only your individual shadow, like a virus, right? It's a collective shadow. And immaturity, is trying to collect these external things to silence the deep-seated anxiety within. the deep-seated mistrust in life. There is never enough choice. There is never enough cash in your account that will ever satisfy that. How many of you guys met really, really rich people that if you look at their external life, it's like a fairy tale, and so many people envy them? But if you get to know them, because a lot of them don't have many true friends. Have you guys noticed that? A lot of them don't have many true friends, and their guard is up. They have very difficulty to trust people. But once again, if you get to know them, you will see a deep-seated anxiety. Not everybody, of course, but the big part of them. And the prosperity, when you really tap into the quantum field of prosperity, you naturally begin to purge things out of your life. Anything that clutters, anything that becomes too complex for you, you say, can I let it go? Do I really need 5 cars? Do I really need this castle? Right? Is it in service of my purpose? Is it in service, do I have this resource and do I use it to share and to make an impact in my life? So the shadow of a maturity gets to kind of alchemized and transformed and transmuted through the heart of awakening. The moment the soul begins to awaken, it begins to feel suffocated by complexity. That's why when the soul begins to awaken, their circle of friends will radically change, and pretty fast, right? So you begin to clear out superficial relationships, superficial connections, and you begin to be drawn to something really genuine, to something that is, true in nature. So prosperity expansion comes through awakening of your heart. And then simplicity, entering a sensual relationship with your life. And also this deep sense of confidence within. That if you truly here to be of service to the highest, that every single resource required for your calling is already here. You just get to open your creative mind, open your creative eyes, let go of this unconscious, fear of your time running out, or the marketplace becoming too condensed or too dense or too overpopulated. Letting go all of that, examining those limiting belief patterns and helping the people that you serve to do the same. You just begin to relax deeply into your now moment. And your energy begins to shift. Your quality of your conversations begin to shift. The quality of your presence becomes so enchanting. And eventually you will not even need to say anything. People will just want to be around you. Right, darlings? And then your events get filled naturally. Your programs get filled naturally. You're like, how did that happen? And you begin to see how efficient it is to trust the flow of your life, to stay humble in your commitment to mastery, right? Knowing that, mastery has no competition, and being curious. Oh, if I don't know this skill, like so many people confide. Is that the word, confide in me? That they are terrified of live streams, darlings. And they look at me that, I rock these live streams, and they're like, you do this so naturally. I'm like, darlings, if you only saw the 500 live streams that have been released for me to reach the level of naturalness, right? So as adults, we get deeply uncomfortable looking, sounding, and feeling awkward. And every time you take on a new skill, you're going to experience those feelings. So I trained my body to embrace the feeling of awkwardness, right? To embrace that. Oh, I feel awkward. That means I'm leading into something brave. I'm doing something that I'm growing, But some people talk to me and they say, oh, I really need to do live streams. When is your next one? Well, I get my ducks in a row. and opportunity goes away. Well, every opportunity is like a sliding door that we get to open with an act of courage. Well, is it been an hour? I'm looking at my clock. Darlings, it's been an hour. How nourishing it is to be with you. Is there a question in your heart that you desire to express? Let me know. And it's beautiful if we learn from nature. Nature is the most powerful prosperity teacher. If you look how nature utilizes everything, how nature goes through the cycle of death and rebirth, we are part of nature. We're going to have cycles of death and rebirth, right? And every time you outlive an old form that is too small for you, that part of you will be asked to die, to let go, to be released. I'm in such peace with the death and rebirth cycles. I am at peace when the big void comes into my life. Not as regularly lately. I've been quite a visitor to the void. Now it's when the void comes, that's that time of deep emptiness in your life where the foundations that you have built that have served you begin to be turned over. You're like, what is happening in my life? Welcome to the void, the great mystery where the cosmic mother begins to rebirth your consciousness into a new understanding of the nature of this reality, of who you are and what are you here to do. That comes through surrendered heart, through a surrendered heart and through the willing soul. The tower. That's right, darling. That's right. So, this is what is coming through to conclude this, darling. This is what's coming through. The amount of money that you currently have is precisely the amount that you need to have in order to ignite the creative genius. Remember, as humans, we do not evolve rapidly through comfort. We do not. We evolve rapidly through challenge, where we are forced in a way to burn the boats and take the island. Something so deep unfolds. See for yourself. Look at your life. Right? So the amount of money that you have right now is the precise amount that is needed for your creative genius to take a next leap. If you have more, you will be comfortable and cozy. If you have less, you become desperate and needy. How beautiful it is to realize that you have the precise amount. Right? You relax your belly, you relax the tightness, and you say, I have the precise amount. Thank you, Spirit. And every day, darlings, every day you say, I have the precise amount right now to take the next leap of courage. Right? Josiah, beautiful brother. You guys desire to cultivate the state of abundance. Check out Josiah Samadhi work and his incredible guided audios that he has. And he does the sacred geometry events. Josiah, the last one I couldn't attend, I was at Deva Primal concert at the same time as your event. But it's really beautiful work this man does. And check out his Facebook page and his meditations. Really beautiful. So darlings, true prosperity, when we are courageous enough to bring our own genius into the world and open-hearted enough to work together, right? And working together becomes so easy when you come to realization of the true nature of this reality. One consciousness peeking through these many different forms, one awareness expanding itself. So you see how you arrive to that place of great inner confidence and also stillness. Then any worry is just a misuse of imagination. You're like, I have the precise amount to get my booty under creative fire, right? I observed this into my life, darling. Some of the most courageous leaps that I've took in my business were at the points where I outgrew the previous containers, right? Containers of my offerings or whatnot, or the ways that I was doing it in my business. I outgrew them. How do you know you outgrew them? Well, prosperity doesn't flow in them anymore, and you're not enthusiastic to offer that anymore. You're like, I've outgrown it. And there's a great point of mutation where you take a courageous leap, you're innovating yourself in a new way, right? And it's vulnerable, but it's so exciting. You will feel the most alive. At least that's what I find in my life, you know? I will bring something to the world by trusting my genius. It doesn't matter if I have moments of doubt. You know what I've discovered, darlings? The closer you are to your own genius, the higher the doubt. And the doubt will not be like a consistent frequency. No. It will just kind of sneak up on you in the most inconvenient times. Like you were about to get on the live stream and present something amazing, and the doubt energy just like, who do you think you are? Nobody wants to hear this or whatever. But the closer you are to the genius, the louder the voice of doubt. Simply expect that and don't take the doubt seriously. You know, it's nothing new. It's just arising from collective unconscious. So, beloveds, I can go on and on and on for hours on this topic because it is such an incredible time that we live in. And I feel I'll let you enjoy this beautiful day. And if you took away something out of this live stream, my work is done. You know, maybe I've planted a few seeds and you go and you cultivate. And this is my prayer, that this will reach the right hearts. I'm always grateful when you share these live streams with the people that you love and people who you know will find it helpful. And I appreciate every comment and every emoji that you leave behind. Thank you so much, beloveds. And if you just joined, we literally rock this live stream for an hour, and it has a lot of wisdom nuggets, right? So, darlings, thank you so much. For those of you who are coming to the Gene Key workshops, we sold out. You know, this is the first Gene Key workshop that I'm doing in Laguna Beach, and we officially sold out. So if there's going to be enough demand for this, I will create another one, maybe for 2 days. And it is my deep desire, darlings, to host very accessible in-person weekend workshops this year. Because I feel this deep call to be closer and closer to your physical auras, right? Digital auras, I feel you, but there's this deep desire to share the codes, you know. No wonder that in the ancient times, people understood the power of sharing information through auras, right? You literally share information, share confidence, share skills through the aura. All right, beloveds, thank you so much. I love you. Enjoy this incredible weekend energy, enjoy Mother Nature, and thank you for the opportunity to be with you, and thank you for your exquisite presence. If you would like to learn more about my work, I did release a new website. Yes, katerinasatori.com, super easy. And or you just see me on Facebook. I'm here a lot. Big kiss. Mwah.